He is just one state away from victory. The best path that he has is probably Pennsylvania, the biggest battleground. It's also where a Washington Post poll had Harris up by just a single point. Basically, this is a tied race.
Yeah, toss up at this point. All right, Rick.
This is a tied race.
Yeah, toss up at this point.
This is a tied race.
Welcome, everyone, to the Hurting Humanity channel. I want everybody out there to pay close attention to this video because I'm going to show you what they want you to pay close attention to, because they are clearly starting to present a narrative here. And if I show you the repetition and pattern, you're going to start to think to yourself, oh yeah, that makes sense as a possible outcome in this year's fake election. And remember, when you're looking at videos with this upcoming election, everybody's looking to see what someone's prediction is. Who cares what someone's prediction is? This is predetermined. So whoever they choose, they're putting in there for a reason. And the reason is sabotage, order out of chaos, whether it's Trump or it's Harris. But people are so caught up in this world, they actually want to see what people's predictions are. I'll predict one thing for you. The person that is put in office will not be the president based on your vote. That person will be put there based on who can bring about the global government faster. And the narrative works both ways. And I'm going to show you right now one of the narratives that's out there, because recently I was talking about terms like dead heat and neck and neck. That's what the mainstream media is telling everyone out there. And they're not telling you that to inform you. They're telling you that because they're conditioning you. And they're conditioning you into potential order out of chaos, because this election is going to bring about order out of chaos. The infrastructure in the United States of America is what they're trying to bring to its knees. That's why you see all these stories out there that are gaslighting the left and the right. The Supreme Court, the House of Representatives, the Senate, all this chaos that's going on and about how things need to change. They're doing it by design so that you want change. They're doing it via sabotage. So dead heat, neck and neck. What does that mean, right? What are these stories out there about Harris and Trump campaign in a home stretch as polls show a tie with just 5 days out? They're starting to talk about an electoral college tie, and most people don't even know what that means. But as I'll explain it to you here, think about all the stuff we've heard about the House of Representatives over the last 4 years, which I've covered over and over and over again. Don't forget all the stuff we've seen with all these politicians, how you know these politicians. How do you know these politicians? Because they put them on national TV. They put them on talk shows. Back in the 80s and 90s, did you know who a senator or a governor was from a state that you didn't live in? You definitely did not. Now you know who represents who. Who represents what state? Who's a senator that feels that way? Who's a senator that feels this way? Who's an extremist? That's all done by design, because these players in this game are about to show what their ultimate purpose was in having them introduced to us as quote unquote extremists. So there's stories out there right now talking about the potential of an electoral college tie. And if you don't know, if there's a 269 to 269 tie, then the election would be determined by the House of Representatives. And we're seeing in affiliate markets, they're putting out propaganda about what happens if there is a tie, because they want you prepared for it. Now, they've done this in the past. They've done this with, Obama and Romney, right? In a time period where there wasn't even a debate, there wasn't even a notion in anyone's mind, because nobody was emotionally caring enough about the election like they are now to care who actually even won, because it wasn't going to make the biggest difference in their lives. As bad as Obama was, the majority of people never in a million years would have thought that Mitt Romney would have actually won the election. Now they're gaslit. Now they actually care about both sides. They hate one side so much and they love the person on their side so much that they're emotionally invested in it. So it makes sense for it to work. And what's the one word? The one word that has surrounded the House of Representatives over the last 4 years? Chaos, right? There's even stories out there right now about the chaos going on in the House. In their own words, what is it like in a chaos Congress, and why these lawmakers keep coming back? Articles that say things like, 6 lawmakers describe what it is like being in the U.S. House, a particularly tumultuous period in American history that has brought governing to a standstill, placed their lives in danger, and raised fundamental questions about what it means to be a representative in a divided democracy. So if you don't remember, because I don't expect everybody out there to remember everything that happens every day, because we're just constantly put through trauma via the media, it's hard to remember every single thing. But as I start showing you this, a light bulb should go off of how this really could be the blueprint that they've had in place all these years to get us prepared for order out of chaos. Remember, during all of this ridiculousness with voting out the Speaker of the House over and over and over again, right? McCarthy, chaos in the U.S. House of Representatives. Remember, there was actually a fight on the floor of the House of Representatives. Literally, there was a fight, a screaming match, and people were tackled in the aisles. A chaotic scene unfolded as McCarthy falls on the 14th ballot. Remember that bout? They're going on and on, hour after hour, day after day. They couldn't come to a conclusion together. They couldn't come to a conclusion, right? You saw the Democrats all vote in unison as a hive mind, which is what they are. And the conservatives are a hive mind too, but they've given this illusion off that they're a house divided, right? And we've seen them fight on the floor. What else have we seen? We've seen all of this chaos surrounding the House of Representatives, not the Senate. You haven't heard much going on in the Senate. It's just been a focus on the House. And then you think about all the characters they've introduced us to who all reside in the House versus the Senate. People like Matt Gaetz, Alexandria Cortez, the AOC, Lauren Boebert, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene. These are all household names that we've heard about. Over the last 4 years, they've been guests on television shows. They've been treated like celebrities. Can you imagine if they tell you that this is a tie and this is already a skeptical tie because ballot boxes were burned in this state and illegals voted in that state, and then they say, it's going to come down to the House of Representatives. And then your mind's going to immediately go, wait a minute, House of Representatives, who are they? Oh, Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz. Oh no, oh my gosh, not these extremists. Not these people. And the Republicans are going to go, no, not AOC and all those crazy libs who can't even tell us what a woman or a man is. And they're going to be the ones who decide who the president of the United States is. And then the tug of war can begin in the House. Back and forth. They can't agree. There's people who are in the House who are Republicans who won't vote for Trump. All the Democrats in the House have voted for Kamala Harris. But now it's coming down to these extremists on the right, and it goes back and forth. And in the back of people's minds, they say, it should never have come down to this. We should never have had illegals voting in the first place. We should have never, ever, ever, ever had people do mail-in voting. We should get rid of all this stuff now. Maybe there's another way. Maybe there's a digital ID we could all use, and we could all vote online securely from the comfort of our home. And we don't have to worry about cheating or Russia, or immigrants. We could all be told that this is safe, and Donald Trump can say, I support it, and Kamala Harris can say, I support it. But now what we need to do is get a recount. Maybe we need you all to go and get your digital identification first, maybe. Because if you think about order out of chaos, I mean, just think to yourself the stuff that's come out of the House, right? They constantly are voting the speaker out. This is a bizarre thing that we've never seen before, and they keep doing it and doing it. They keep talking about the House shutting down the government, right? Then we have these people like Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, AOC, Lauren Boebert. Remember the story of Lauren Boebert apologizing for being, in a movie theater, getting groped? And then they were putting this on national news as if she didn't know there was going to be cameras following her or looking at her in a movie theater. How about the other guy who pulled the fire alarm to delay a vote, right? I did videos on this talking about how it was high school behavior, and somehow people were actually believing that adults were acting like this. And it couldn't have been done more deliberately. It was strategically done. People were acting like children. Now we see left and right acting like children out in public, telling you to vote, demanding you vote, want to see if you're a registered voter or not. We see adults behaving as kids, and they actually believe that these politicians are doing things like this, like pulling fire alarms or getting groped in movie theaters. It's like watching a high school movie. And everyone is sucked into this psychosis and doesn't realize that they're getting worked. And this could potentially be the way that this election gets drawn out. I'm not saying it's 100% the way it's going to be, But this neck and neck thing is obviously setting us up for massive, massive election denial. Massive, massive election denial. A back and forth between who won this state and who won that state. Swinging it one day, swinging it the other day, never giving us an outcome at the end of the day on November 5th, which people will be waiting for. There will be no outcome. I can guarantee you. By the time the 5th of November ends, even if they tell you at the end of the day that Trump has won, I guarantee you the next day they'll tell you that they think Kamala has won, that nothing's official. And it's going to continue and continue and continue, that they have to count and count and count and count. And count and count and count and count. That's what I'll tell you is going to happen. Don't know who they're going to select at the end of this, but these stories that are going to come out of it, they're setting everybody up for it. That's what the news is. It's to set you up to accept this when they present it to you instead of going, this is ridiculous. This is unbelievable. People are getting set up and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I knew it was going to come down to Pennsylvania. They say all these things like, oh, yeah, I knew it was going to come down to this. I had a feeling it come down. That's because they tell you it's going to come down to it because they're working you and manipulating you. Then you're repeating what they're telling you. And you're getting played and continually getting played and eventually getting played to the point where you go and do what the government wants you to do, which again, will come back to a digital ID. So you may have noticed, like I said recently, the narratives about this neck and neck thing, and it's getting more and more and more and more tight. That's what they keep telling us, right? It's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Then on the flip side, you listen to the other chatter, the ballot box killers on the loose, right? Then you have this fake videos from Russian propagandists aimed to raise tensions ahead of the election. People who are putting out deep fakes of voter fraud, right? People are getting all agitated by this stuff. And it's building this in their mind that they're not going to trust the outcome of the election if it doesn't go the way that they want it to go. They're putting noise on both sides. The Republicans think that it's just on their side. All they can see is in their own, they're in their own vacuum, where all they see is the propaganda getting fed to them about how libs are lighting up ballot boxes and letting illegals vote. And all the libs see is in the vacuum, the narrative that's getting fed to them about Russia, deep fakes, about Trump, and this Haitian migrant narrative, right? And how Republicans are going to rig this in their favor. And that's all that either side sees instead of saying, hey, wait, they're doing it to both of us. You notice that? They're doing it to both of us, that we're both getting worked here. But what are we getting worked into? Well, you're going to get worked into order out of chaos. So for anybody out there that's still trying to figure out what's going on, okay, when we talk about the globalists and we talk about the deep state, whatever you want to call it, whatever you've learned of the New World Order, whatever terminology you've learned it through, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, okay, the shadow government, the goal here is to change over infrastructure. And by changing over infrastructure, you have to sabotage the infrastructure that's in place. That means things like the Supreme Court. Have you noticed how everybody's anti-Supreme Court now? The Supreme Court, Roe v. Wade. Nobody was asking the Supreme Court to do what they did. They just did it overnight. There was no big event that occurred where they're going to say, oh, they're going to determine the outcome of Roe v. Wade. They just did it, right? Everybody just was in an uproar who was a Democrat about it, right? Or the other stuff that they've done to gaslight conservatives with the trans and the library. Who's responsible for it? You think trans all of a sudden said, we're going to go to the public school libraries and read to kids? Oh, right, the government started that. They started putting people in the schools. Then it spread because that's how it is. Monkey see, monkey do. Then crazy people in certain towns were going, we need to get our trans in the schools here too. And conservatives were going, what is going on here? And they're getting gaslit and gaslit and gaslit as part of a government operation. This is what the government's doing to all of us. Whatever your political affiliation is, whatever your skin color is, whatever your gender is. It's a group of psychopathic corporations working together against the civilians. And again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you to vote. Remember, they're not telling you who to vote for. They're just telling you to vote because they want you to give your consent to be governed by them. So they don't really care. And that's why, again, like I talked about recently, they're trying to get you to look at people who don't vote as complete lunatics and bad people who are not doing their part, who are refusing to enslave themselves to these corporations. And most people don't understand how this works, of course, because, again, we have a narcissistic society. You could thank social media. These people think that they know what's going on, and they think that they have an understanding of what's going on because all they see is what they want to see. And they want to root and they want to vote for their team and they want their team to win. It's like the Yankees and the Dodgers. It's like the Giants and the Cowboys. It's the same thing. So back to my point.
We really don't want people to think of feeding food like ours as spoiling their dogs. Good.
If they're going to bring about new infrastructure, AI governance, this infrastructure has to be destroyed. That means the people have to ask for it. That means the people have to demand. The House of Representatives, this way that it's working with vote, it can't be the way it is anymore. It can't come down to the House. The House has too much power. The Senate has too much power. We got to get rid of that. The Supreme Court, we got to get rid of that too. This isn't fair. We don't need this system to be set up this way. We need a new system. It's not just anymore. The system's racist. The system's this, the system's that. Please give us a new system. And then the government, the shadow government says, good. Yes, we will. Because that's what we've wanted all along. You to ask for a new system because we've been waiting, sabotaging your current one so that we could bring about our new AI governance. And here's your digital ID. Get rid of your social security card. Get rid of your driver's license. Get rid of your birth certificate because all you'll need is this. And the people will go, I don't care. As long as my vote actually gets counted and as long as these people crossing the border illegally, their vote doesn't, then I'm in. And then the next thing they know in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, they realize, wait a minute. I'm posting stuff online. The police showed up at my house. Oh, yeah? What'd you post? Well, I was talking about, chemtrails in the sky. I was noticing these clouds that I finally just noticed all of a sudden. I wasn't feeling great and didn't like how it looked and got suspicious. I looked into it and I saw this stuff about geoengineering. And I posted on Facebook. And now the police came to my home. Oh. And what? There's a summons for you to go to court? Oh, right. Or, when you go to use your bank account, which will be through your digital ID, and you suddenly can't withdraw any money, or you can't use it to buy the groceries you want because they tell you you're at your carbon limit. You can only buy 1 loaf of bread this month and feed your family of 4 for the entire month with it. Huh? That's where it's headed. And the PSYOP is coming. So it's definitely a PSYOP that's in play here. I mean, we know for a fact there's no way they're going to give us the results right away. They've already told us this, right? The digital ID is the play. So they already told us they're not giving us the results right away because it's going to come down to counties, swing states, blah, blah, blah. That tells you right away that they're setting you up for a delay in the announcement, right? But this is a narrative that is in play that we need to pay attention to. Because if it does come down to the House, that would be the ultimate chaos. And that's even the word that they've used over the last 4 years to describe the House of Representatives, chaos. That's all they call it, chaotic circus in the House. All the headlines use the word chaos. And what is the motto of the New World Order and how it's going to be brought about? Order out of chaos through divide and conquer. And you're watching it right now. I thank everybody for being here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. God bless all of you as always and your families.